people are now sharing their airport stuff in Uganda. It's everywhere. Everybody talking about. Even those who have never flown, they're sharing their experience. But have you had any? Have you had any issues with like the Uganda airport? Hello?
I really haven't. I've
Yeah.
never really had an issue with them.
The same
And
way.
to be frank, I don't know what's going
Yeah. I mean,
on.
I've not seen it to the level that people are posting and talking about, but I remember when one time I flew back to Uganda without the yellow fever book. And
Mhm,
so they took me into this room, and this guy
mhm.
was asking me for money. I mean, he did ask me for money, but I thought because I really didn't have the yellow fever book and they need it. So I thought it was, I mean, that's a life. Like people ask you for money to let you go because technically you need to have the yellow fever book.
You must have it, yeah.
Yeah. So I understood on my part. I still didn't give them money. I just started being them like, hey, my family came from Masaka to pick me up at the airport. So they're out there waiting. Just let me go. And the guy was like, make sure when you find you have it. So that's the only instance I had, but I
Mm.
mean, I guess I don't know. I've never experienced that, and I think I was reading on people's comments. I'm like, maybe they get people who don't usually travel, and like they can see you've never flown before,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they take
Mm.
advantage of you. So
I've
that's what
really never had an issue with them. How much did they ask you for? Do you remember?
I think it was like either 300,000 mitwala asatu. They were just asking for mitwala asatu, like to get. Oh no, they asked me actually in dollars because they knew I was flying from the US, so they were asking me in dollars. So I think you were
Wow.
asking me for $100. So that's equivalent like mitwalo ngasa to some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Today's episode is sponsored by Dancesoft Gamers. Dancesoft Gamers is the leading distributor of video games and other consumer gadgets like the podcast microphone sets, ring lights, headphones, and affordable smartwatches, and many other cool gadgets. For these and more, visit their website at www.dancesoftgamers.co. That is www.dancesoftgamers.co. Mujevale, Mujevale, Mujevale. My name is Bane Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Ball Talk Show. So, welcome to my podcast, Harmony.
Thank you for having me. Super exciting.
So, the first question, not even a question, the first thing I wanted you to just help me figure out. So, on your Instagram, you use Harmony Kay, which
Mm.
it's Harmony spelled ends with
Right.
NE. And then
Mm.
on your career, on your job, like what when you do like in a play, you use harmony ending ny. And so
Mm.
is that which one is your name, or which one is like a name, you just a stage name, or like which one of them is a stage name?
I would say the one that ends with NIE is more stage, and then Y is my government name.
Okay.
But then it's the one that ends with the NIE is Harmonie in French. It's my name in French. I'm
Okay.
obsessed with it. So yeah, I think we're just trying to be clever, and then along the way, everyone is a bit confused. Like, okay, so which one is your name? They're both my name. It's just
Yeah.
one is cooler than the other.
So how about the
But they're
K?
both mine. So the K is short for my surname, which is Chamcha.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes
so that's
sense
how
now.
that.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. So we're still in January. So I like to ask people how was 2020 for them. So how was your 2020?
Which one? The
Oh,
2022 or the
shit.
original
Sorry.
2020?
No, it's my bad.
No, I should ask you.
2022. They might have left me in 2020. So
Really?
yeah.
2022 was wow. It really was a very, very interesting year. It was it broke me. 2022 actually broke me. It broke my spirit towards the end, actually. I felt like when I started it, I was so excited. I was getting work almost immediately. And it's always like, oh my God, you're getting money in January? What? That is a sign that this year is supposed to come with a whole lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then mid of the year, my housemate of 4 years had to relocate to Utah. And then I couldn't find a housemate in time. So I had to move back to my parents' home. Lost my job. I had a paying job, the radio job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything it went like this, and then it
Yeah.
went like this. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's sad, and sorry to hear all that. But on the other hand, this is why I like doing a podcast. This is why I like talking to people and sitting down and listening
Mm,
to people's stories and what they have to say about life. Most
yeah.
times, like we, the fans, the followers who watch you people, and unless you sit down with somebody and they tell you about life, you're never gonna know like
Mhm.
what's really happening in their life. And that's why I ask people that, and I'm glad you shared with that. So I want the people, the followers, the fans to know that life is not always like straight. Sometimes things take a hit, and that's part of
Mm,
life. And I don't want them to get this picture of
mhm,
like
mhm.
everything is like just super nice.
Everything is so peachy.
Yeah. The other question is like in a simple words or short form, how would you describe who Harmony is?
Oh my God. I thought by now I would have like a clear answer about who I am. Because Lord knows I've been asking.
Hmm.
But I would say in a few words, ooh, who is Harmony? Ciao. Well, listen,
Mm,
we're going to circle back because I don't know what to say about who Harmony is. I have gone through such variations of who I thought I am,
mm,
and for the better part, it was this people pleasing part of me that was just trying to fit into each and every box, just so I'm a little bit more acceptable and a little bit more entertained. Um, but I've come to realize that I love to laugh. I laugh a lot,
mhm.
especially during very serious situations, is when I'm going to laugh because I just don't know how to not laugh, right? The big goofball, I love the biggest marshmallow you're going to meet on this earth. I am, of course, to the crowd, I'm a hard guy, but deep inside
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
s'mores, marshmallows on the stick. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I would like to say or like a much more definitive way to describe who I am because if I'm being entirely honest, we're still on this journey of discovering who we are.
Mhm.
So I kind of talk about the failed versions or of what. Let's see how 2022. Let's see who Harmony is in 2022. It's a blank check. I'm excited to find out.
All right. So even that same year, 2022, you made a trip to Thailand. I mean, even if a lot of bad things happened, but there are also some good things that happened. And
That's true.
so we're gonna focus on the good. I mean, you've talked about the bad things, so now the rest of the podcast we're gonna talk about the good things. So like, but yeah. So the
Yes.
trip to Thailand, how was that like? I've always admired. I want to go to countries like that, but how was that your experience with Thailand?
Um, it was a very long journey. It was my first long journey. It was about 13 hours. I met a friend on the plane for the
Yeah.
first the trip to Dubai. I met a friend on the bay who just like kind of walked me through. We just talked about life in general. They're Ugandan, so they kept me company. And then I had a layover at the airport about 3 hours, and then we set off from Dubai at 3 a.m.
Hmm.
Now, when I got to the airport, I had talked to like I love a window seat because I'm very anxious.
Me too.
So just see what's happening is gonna be like, okay, we're good, right? But asked the lady, I was like, is this my window seat? And she was like, no, but I'm gonna try to get you on a window seat for your next um flight. I'm like, no problem. So she was like, oh, no, oh, by the way, you and my child share a surname, so that's so interesting. I was like, okay, fantastic. So this whole time I'm thinking I'm going to have a window seat.
Hmm.
We get on the we get on the plane and tell me why I'm in the aisle. I got an aisle seat,
Yeah.
and it's the very first one. Like not the one that has the TV. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Like when you like messed up as a child and they said like look into the corner, detention type of energy. That is what it was. So I sat in the aisle, first in the line. Next to me was like a family, this toddler. And please note that now I was really like around like white people. I was really it's probably I could count how many of us were on that plane that were black.
Mhm.
I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Is
Okay,
that
so I was getting
is that
nervous
the
for the
plane
like,
from Dubai? That's the one from Dubai to
yeah,
town. Okay.
yeah, that's Dubai to Bangkok.
Okay.
Then we got to Bangkok at I want to say midday one
Hmm.
around there. And then I briefly lost my luggage. But that's not my fault. I blamed the airport. It's too
Obviously.
big.
Yeah.
It's too big. So I kept getting confused with the
Okay.
numbers and they're not really speaking English. So you just don't know what to do. I'm just running around like a headless chicken. I'm like, oh my God, I can't lose my luggage here. Please, please. I have planned feats for this entire conference.
Mhm.
Then we took a bus. The hotel had organized a bus, Pattaya, and that was about 3 hours. Very long journey.
Hmm. I could see how that would
Yeah.
turn out, especially when you lose your luggage.
Mm,
When you lose something
mm,
on a trip, it turns out to be a long day.
mm.
But I was gonna ask you about
Yeah.
people are now sharing their airport stuff in Uganda. It's everywhere. Everybody talking about, even those who have never flown, they're sharing their experience. But have you had any have you had any issues with like the Uganda airport at all?
I really haven't. I've
Yeah.
never really had an issue with them.
The same
And
with
to be frank, I don't know what's going
yeah. I mean,
on.
I've not seen it to the level that people are posting and talking about, but I remember when one time I flew back to Uganda without the yellow fever book. And
Mm,
so they took me into this room, and this guy
mm,
was asking me for money. I mean, he did ask me for money, but I thought because I really didn't have the yellow fever book and they need it. So I thought it was, I mean, that's a life. Like people ask you for money to let you go because technically you need to have the yellow fever book.
you must have it, yeah.
Yeah. So I understood on my part. I still didn't give them money. I just started being them like, hey, my family came from Masaka to pick me up at the airport. So they're out there waiting. Just let me go. And the guy was like, make sure when you find you have it. So that's the only instance I had, but I
Mm.
mean, I guess I don't know. I've never experienced that, and I think I was reading on people's comments. I'm like, maybe they get people who don't usually travel, and like they can see you've never flown before,
Yeah, yeah.
and they take
Mm.
advantage of you. So that's
I've
what
really never had an issue with them. How much did they ask you for? Do you remember?
I think it was like either 300,000 mitwala asatu. They were just asking for mitwala asatu, like to get. Oh no, they asked me actually in dollars because they knew I was flying from the US, so they were asking me in dollars. So I think yeah, they were
Wow.
asking me for $100. So that's equivalent like mitwalo ngasa to some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they were
Yeah.
asking me for $100, and I really didn't have dollars because no, I think I did because I usually fly with dollars, but sometimes I
Mhm.
use like online banking and stuff. But I didn't give them any money. I just you know what? What are you gonna do? Nothing. I'm in Uganda. I'm home.
Home.
If I was going to the US where it's like kind of you understand, but if you're in Uganda, like I'm home.
Yeah, yeah,
I can sleep at
yeah.
the airport. I don't care. So anyway, yeah, I just want to touch on that because I was following you. I saw the pictures of
Yeah.
your trip to Thailand and how that was, and it's fun to travel and get to see different places. I'm also a window seat person. I love window seats,
Mm.
and I just like to look outside the windows all the time. Part of the things I've seen on Instagram and you talking about yourself in interviews or somewhere, you mentioned that you're a radio host. Are you still like working on radio, or have you worked on radio?
I have worked on radio. The first time I worked on radio was probably back in 2014. 2015.
Okay.
And it was a radio station called Wava. It was under WBS,
Mm-hmm.
and then it later transitioned into an only sports radio station. But it was like around the time that I was just trying to see like what's my niche, where am I comfortable working. It was like one of those where like the entertainment industry was my oyster. I just needed to decide what I wanted to do with it. So it was like it's a fun experience to have. And so when I got the opportunity to work on radio again in 2021, I took it. I worked I worked on RX Radio. It's a
Okay.
new online station that's run by Fat Boy. He used to work with Sanyu. I had a night show, 8 to midnight. I worked with them for a year and didn't I no longer work with them.
I was reading on your profile and like the things you do. I'm like, she's she's more talented. Like I think that's how I would sum up it. All these things like you do and just following that. But in that too, the other thing that caught me off guard, I'm like, executive chef. Like, how did you get into cooking? Has it been a passion for you? How did or were you also discovering what you
It,
do better?
no, no, no. Actually, that is I went to school with well, for it. I went to culinary school. So I think actually my journey with culinary school and media, all of them are somewhat intertwined and all happened around the same time because I started uni in 2013, and at that point I was going to do a degree in leisure and hospitality. But that's only because it's a bit difficult. We don't yet have a properly organized culinary school here. And so I had always wanted to go to cooking school, and I wanted to go when I was in senior four. I wanted to go to Nairobi, and then there was like a change of plans with my parents, so I couldn't do it anymore. Did A level, but I was just still pushing for anything that had anything to do with cooking. So when I went to MOOC, they said I had to have done biology to be able to do like a nutrition course, which still is not cooking. I wanted to like cook.
Right.
So then we decided to do the leisure and hospitality and move. I'm like, okay, fine. This is like managerial knowledge. But again, I just wanted to be in the kitchen, man.
Mhm.
So I go try moves for the first semester, and it's like introduction to everything. So it's really chill. Intro to this and intro to that. Super breezy. Second semester knocked me off like uppercut. Yo, no, no. I was like, what part of I want to cook don't you people understand? Like,
Mhm.
give me a knife, okay? And just
Yeah.
send me to the back. I do not care about this financial nonsense. So at that point, I transitioned to do a diploma in food production here in Kampala.
Mhm.
It was a 2 year diploma. But right before I did it, I had been working as a chef on TV while I was doing uni.
What TV
So that
were
was
you?
Urban TV.
Oh, yeah, Urban TV. Okay.
Urban TV. Yeah. I had a morning segment with Omara and Mary Luswata.
What year was that?
So I had 2013.
I think I used to watch that actually. Because I left Uganda 2014, but like
Yeah,
2013,
yeah.
I finished high school in like 2012. So 2013 I'd say
Yeah.
my career. But
Mhm.
in that time, like I was in just like working, so I wasn't in school or anything. So I used to watch that
Yeah.
with Omar and Mary Roswata. So when you mentioned that, I think it came back to my
Mm.
mind. Yeah. I might go to YouTube and visit those
Those
old clips.
just don't. Oh my God. Don't do it, please. What an era. So that's when I decided to go and study culinary. So I did that here for 2 years, a diploma in food production, finally actually cooking. Um, then I worked as a chef at La Patisserie in La Chateau and Imperial Royale briefly because I'm a tall human being. I got back issues.
Oh, from overstanding.
Yeah, too. So which is how I ended up with my practice. Doing it because I like it. I'm just doing it because, I hadn't yet gotten to a point where I was like, you need to monetize your skills and your passion. So that is I decided to do that in 2019 and here we are.
I was curious about you your chef and how you got into it, but I'm glad you shared that. I like food. I like good food, and I've seen some of your
Yeah.
Instagram uh, eating and getting food and getting good food. What's up with Coca-Cola? Recently, you've been drinking Coca-Cola a lot. Are you doing a commercial for Coca-Cola or what?
I have been signed as one of their brand ambassadors.
Okay, nice.
So they're running a campaign for the next 5 months.
That's a good strategy. So that brings me to the brand influencer too. Like you do that too. How did
Yeah.
you get into that?
Um, Honestly, I don't even know how I can say that I got into it. I would just say that the position that my work has put me in has made me, has shown for what I can do. And so they come to me and ask to work with me and say, hey, let's do it. So I can't say that there's something I particularly went out looking for.
Yeah,
They found me. Yeah,
nice.
so credit to my work, I guess, and this media personality life.
Yeah, it's like a billboard, like it puts you out there, like you get noticed, and
Yeah.
that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
sometimes in life you need hard working and a little bit of luck, so it always come together and everything
Hmm.
works together. So I'm trying to digest all the
Yeah.
different things that you do, to, and this brings
Mm.
me to the one thing that I've been looking most forward to is the Kampala's karaoke queen. I've seen you sing. I've seen some of the old videos of you sing, and you're a really good singer.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I
you.
want to know how the Kampala's karaoke queen came about. And do you do a lot of karaoke?
So, I got an opportunity to host karaoke at the Aleph. That was last year in June. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that was actually the beginning of my transition. It was so funny because it was so bittersweet. My husband had left in May, and that was at the beginning of my transition. And I was sitting there, I was wondering what I was going to do. It was a big, huge change, huge change. And then I went into a very depressive episode, terribly depressing. And I honestly, I remember actually this is what happened. So maybe a week or two before, actually no, the same week he had to leave, we I saw extra, so we almost had like a farewell party every day
Okay.
for his departure.
For the whole week.
The whole week. So one of the things he likes to do karaoke. So we went for karaoke. We went to attend karaoke. It was actually a day. It was the day before I had to fly out early in the morning to go to Nairobi. So we got for karaoke, and then we have a brilliant time, right? We shut it down. I sang Bloody Samaritan. It was just a good night, good vibes, and whatnot.
Mhm.
Then, while I was in Nairobi, I get a phone call from a friend of mine who is, I think, like a business partner of the place, and it's like, hey, we're wondering if you're interested in hosting karaoke and whatnot. I'm like, okay, when I come back into Kampala, we can definitely have a conversation about it. So when I came back and I inquired with them, I was like, hey, I'm back if we want to have a meeting. So then the person seemed a bit unsure. I think something had changed. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, no worries at all. Maybe 2 weeks later, I get prepositioned again for the same opportunity. I'm like, okay, it's every Thursday. Surely fun hat. It's
Mhm.
fun. It's an excuse for me to doll up and go make noise on a Thursday. Let's do it. So that's how it started. I was hosting every Thursday at the Aleph. And it was so much fun. Oh my God. It was so exciting. I think I'm really good at marketing, both
Yeah.
myself and other things. So I got them their numbers. Oh, we had a very good time.
Did those people knew that you could sing? Had they had you sing, or how did they know you could run karaoke and
No, they honestly, no, because remember I sang the last time I was
okay.
there, I sang Bloody Samaritan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good
So it
song.
was almost like, yeah, it's a really nice karaoke song,
Mhm.
especially after a couple of shots. It really just, you do sound like Ira style.
That's cool about the karaoke. And do you do any covers, like music covers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I used to. Yeah, I used to.
What are some of your favorite songs you like to do karaoke on? Is it like R&B songs or Afro beats or Ugandan songs?
You know, we don't have a lot of like Ugandan songs as options for karaoke,
Okay.
or even like lyrics, or we don't have so many options like that. Like even when we would have people request them at the Aleph, we would have to play like a YouTube video with lyrics, and then you just have to kind of sing over it. It was very
Mm.
ridiculous. But I it depends on my mood, honestly. Thankfully, music has so many different genres. So it's like, what am I in the mood for? Are we doing punk rock? Are we being soul and sweet? Is it R&B? Are we being gangster? Like, what is the
Yeah.
mood?
You rap?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But with just the right amount of confidence, I can do like an Iggy Azalea one verse
Yeah.
type of thing, and I'll be like, yeah,
How about like the
that's
raps of
me.
Nicki Minaj, Cardi B kind of rap? I fil like most girls can rap those. Not
I
most,
mean,
but
everything you're rapping, I think they're just like singing really slowly. But I really haven't taken the time. I haven't taken the time for some reason. I don't know why, but Nicki Minaj and Cardi, their music doesn't really appeal to me quite as
really,
much. I
it's
know very aggressive,
you know
very
what's
very
funny?
aggressive.
My current job, there's a guy I never in million times, like even when you meet him, you never think he's a Cardi B fan. Like he's this guy that you would think like he's an American guy. Like you would think he's
Yeah.
like into country, classic rock, American type of song.
Mm-hmm.
But when I work with him, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, Bunny, you ready for some Cardi B today? And he turns on Cardi B and like we work to Cardi B. And that like and he can sing those songs. I'm like, holy cow, I never in any world like thought of this guy singing
Yeah.
the songs. But yeah, it was cool. But I like them. I like their music. I don't know who I'll pick on both of them, but I think depending on the mood, I'll listen to their music.
I mean, if it's playing, I'll just probably bump my head to it, but it would never be like just like, ooh, now I want to go listen to Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any, of course, anything, negative towards them. I just don't necessarily find their music enjoyable to me.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like the one song that'll make me sing is like I think it was is this Starships? Like Starships were made to fly? But
That is such a Caucasian song, by the way. Nikki and Herman is the new what they were doing with that one. So Caucasian.
but yeah, I like a few. So this brings me to the part you've been talking about how it brought you to the media, brought you to like public acting. How did you get
Yeah.
into acting, and when was the first time you knew that you were an actor?
Um. So I would say 2015. I have a little background in like music, dance, and drama from when I was a little child in primary school. Actually, my entire family. But 2015, we had Akon had introduced this singing competition. It was Airtel Trust Music Style, and I had competed, and I was in the top 20. So we had to rehearse at Buddy's production because that's who had the contract of like releasing this, singing competition, which had the potential to be a great show, but we're
Yeah.
not bitter. Anyway, so it was like one of those days. I was just there. Like most of the things that have happened to me, by the way, it's just like someone to come and be like, "Harmony, can you do this?" And I'll be like, "Of course." Even when I have not even the first idea, I just feel like I can do it.
It reminded me when I first came to America. When I first came to America, and I was looking for a job. Like I didn't have a job, and people
Yeah.
would come at you, "Hey, do you know how to paint?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a great painter. I used to paint in Uganda, this building." And then I'll Google some pictures. I'm like, "This is my work," and like anything that came up to me, I said, "I'll do it. I can do it. I can do it." And there's one time a lady gave me a
Yeah.
job to do the roofing. I'd
Mhm.
never been on a roof, not any roof. Okuja kubuno buyima bwo bumyo. But this lady, she gave me money to do her garage roof, and they call them shingles. And I had a friend, I
Yeah.
called him, I was like, "Hey, I've taken this job. I don't know how to do it." And he sent me a
Yeah.
YouTube link. and he was directing me on
Yeah.
the phone, and I did this lady's garage, and she paid me like
Yeah.
$200. And but yeah, that reminded me of like just saying yes to anything. Like you can do it.
Like that is where it was. I remember actually like just quick segue. My first job, 2012, was at a digital company, advertising company, and and I also got, my God, everything. My resume will make you dizzy. It will
Mhm.
make you dizzy. I can tell you that for a fact. So I had been in a separate singing competition that was Coca-Cola rated next. And yeah, so when I finished, when I was, what's the word? Evicted? Not evicted. They did like a 10 off, 10 on type of thing, and I was
Layoff.
unfortunately among the 10 that had. Yeah,
I
like
think
the singers,
I think it's the
because they
is it
needed
the
digital.
layoff?
I don't know. So then at that point, these guys, their plan was Coca-Cola at the time. And so they had to take pictures in the field and whatnot. So somehow I had befriended somebody who got me. They said, "Okay, you're going to be our content manager." I was like, "Perfect. How good are you with computers?" "I am great." They were like, "Wonderful. Do you know how to use Microsoft Excel?" I said, "Who? Who is that? And what are they doing at the computer?" and, I honestly think the only reason I kept the job is because they were curious to see what I could actually do, because they knew I was taking a piece. The minute I didn't know what the Excel shit was, they just knew I was taking a piece. But they let it be. And yeah, so most of the things that I have done, can you do this? I'm like, hell yeah. So while we were rehearsing for a competition, because we used to have like one central place where everyone rehearses their song, there's a veteran in acting, Philip Luswata. He pulls me aside, and because they were doing a table read for one of my very first series at campus, and so they pulled me aside and they said, "But Harmony, can't you act?" I said, "Of course, of course I can act. What do you need me to do?" They said, "Read this line." I read the line. They're like, "Ah, we brought out Priscilla," which is, that was my character's name. A medical student in fourth year, whose boyfriend was cheating. What else was it?
What was the title of the play?
The campus.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I'll send you a flyer. It's just so interesting. Yeah, so that is actually how I got into acting. That was my very first one.
Mhm.
And here we are.
That is good. That's that's a good journey. It's funny that you say you got into acting just by just saying, "Yeah, I can do this, I can do that," and sometimes it leads you places. Sometimes you just yeah, uh, just take it, take the challenge, take the. And I usually tell people that like take the risk. If it doesn't work out, you're not
Yeah.
losing anything. You know, it's like a
Mm,
an opportunity that you're just gonna miss. Just take it. If it doesn't
mm.
work out, you know you did the best you could. But what if it does?
Yep.
You know, like it's always good to remind people
Mm,
that what uh what would no, I wouldn't bring this question now. I'll ask it later. But what has been some of
mm,
the biggest stages? I felt for lack of a better word, like where you've project. I would say biggest project that you've done. It could be in acting. It could be
mm.
in radio. It could be what would you consider like up to this point? Like what has been your biggest project you've done?
There's been two of them. One was actually three. The first was in Peke Town. I don't know if you ever heard of Makutano Junction.
Yeah. Makutano Junction. Yeah,
Yeah. So Peke Town is a rendition. So we have an all Kenyan crew, production crew, and then we have a Ugandan cast. But then, of course, some people that appeared, some Ugandans that appeared in Makutano have resurfaced in Peke Town. Similar concept, agribusiness for the youth. We shot it in Ginger. The very first season was shot in 2017. It was, first of all, my first extremely professional, very well paying gig. It was it was a tough set as well. They really made us comfortable. We had accommodation at the hotels and whatnot. males all around. Like talent was treated like talent. We were there for about 4 months. It was a very, very interesting set for sure. But I think my biggest challenge with that set was the fact that we had to shoot it in two languages, English and Luganda. Now I am a Munyankole from the West. When I
Okay.
try to speak Luganda, I sound like
You sound like what?
even when I don't try to. I'll think about a statement and it will make sense and I'll have put it all together, articulated it well in Luganda. When I open my mouth, the yankole is gonna fall out. It was
What?
so hard. It
What if I?
was so
Okay, I want to hear it. I want you to say a line in Luganda so I can hear.
It's on YouTube. So if you want to have a good laugh, go to YouTube. Play that
Okay.
version. Take it on Luganda version.
Break it down.
You'll see my big
Okay.
head there. Yeah, and we'll have to do it like at the same time. So what they'll do, they'll say, you see how we're conversating right now?
Mm-hmm.
We'll have our like dialogue, however short it is, then they'll say cut, then they'll say switch to Luganda, and we'll have to have the similar energy um for the same exact.
Wow.
So by the time they say check one Luganda, I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Couldn't they
The
tell that you're
biggest
struggling with
Usamon.
Luganda? Like, couldn't.
Oh yeah, they could.
Okay.
They could, but like it's one of those where you have to like compromise and learn. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that you are getting everything from your head. Though you have a script that is written in Luganda,
Okay.
and you can also because they usually write it like very conk Luganda, so you have to write it in such a way that you're able to pronounce certain things without changing their meaning. So those efforts there that you had to put. So if I just sat down and adamantly said I don't speak Luganda, I'll lose my job.
Right.
And then did I mention the money was good?
Yeah. I get that part. Yeah. Now it makes sense.
Okay, so the second one would then be Chadala. Chadala, that is it's a storyline for sexual health and reproductive health, again for the youth. Um, that I got to know about it in 2017. Have you ever watched MTV Sugar?
No.
So it's a storyline like that. So it's got MTV Sugar Niger, it's got Down South. So the actors from the Nigerian one um, was one of them was our director, and then the other was my co-actor. Was supposed to have like a little love interest story going on there, but
Mhm.
oh well, well I'm not the writer. But so he had come into the country. Do you know a Nigerian singer called Chidima?
Yeah.
That little sweet
Uh-huh.
girl. She had come to Uganda for like an outreach of some sort. And again, at that point, I was working on TV because a girl must hustle.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to interview them. And so while I met them, Emmanuel Ikubese was speaking to me. And he was like, oh, I'm actually bringing the concept to Kampala. You should definitely audition. I was like, yeah, for sure. So that was 2017. And they brought it 2016, 2017. And they brought it end of 29, I know, end of 2018 is when we auditioned for it.
Mm-hmm.
We shot it in Hana, the first season, Hanamik, for about 3 weeks because it was a short, like three short episodes that they later stretched into like eight. Um, yeah, so that one was really big, and the second season was even bigger. And actually, the one that got my last year a bit very busy, and the reason I ended up in Thailand, by the
Mm.
way, to
Nice.
do that series. The third one we shot in 2020, lockdown period,
Okay.
election period. It was a very, very tough period. It's by a lady called Nicole Magabo. She's an American Ugandan writer director. This particular one, we had a private screening for it last year in September because it is a queer concept
Mm.
that UCC will not let us show here. But I'm the lead in that as well, and it's a bit graphic. There's scenes of nudity. Well, not that semi nudity. So
Semi.
seeing yourself on a big screen, all titties out is just it's very motivating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I was climbing under my. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah. But listen, let us have a private screening. So those have been my three big projects. It's been submitted for film festivals, so let's see how it does.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Mm.
that's amazing. I've seen a few clips of you acting, and I'm always having this question like, how do you, and this was a question I had down here, how do you switch from Harmony, the regular person, to
Mm.
Harmony, the screen person, like acting and like, because how is that? Is it easy? Does it come easy for you? Like now it's your time.
Um, yeah, I mean, you have enough time to prepare. It used to be harder before because you would never have enough time to sit with your character and understand and separate who you are from who this person is, the character you're about to play. It used to be a bit difficult because most times they'll audition you today and then tomorrow they're like, okay, cry. And you're like, why am I crying? I don't even know why I'm crying yet. you know, on a normal day, I'll still happy and I'll wail. But now you're just telling me to cry for there's no context here. Like, what do you mean? But thankfully, the characters that I've recently had to play have required have given me enough time to prepare. Where I know this is who I need to be, this is where I'm coming from. It's like a character bio that they let you do. You sit and you say, my character is going to be Bonnie. Let's think about Bonnie's deepest, darkest secret. What is Bonnie's favorite color? What are they? What is their biggest insecurity? You know, you come up with all these things that, of course, are somewhat in line with the storyline that you're about to play, just so you have an original place to go back to when you have to get your emotions out. Otherwise, if it's a blank page, you don't understand why you're crying.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Why am I? What do you mean I have to be upset in this? You know, because how you pronounce certain things, the intonation, I think is quite hard actually.
You mentioned about crying, and when I was growing up, or like in schools, when we do like acting drama, when they want a scene to cry, they'll put like chapam. Is it chapambalas on your eye? Do you guys do that? Tell me that. It's good.
Yeah, sometimes you have to because you see the texts are so many.
Yeah.
The texts are so many.
How do
It's
you
not
get it
one
so
text.
smooth on the
You have a
camera
wide,
though?
you
Like,
have the editing is so
okay,
seamless. But what happens is they have to take different angles of it.
okay,
If we're conversating right now, they're going to have a wide shot of this, and they're going to have your POV, then my POV. Then it's a lot. So if you have to cry for each of these texts, you will need assistance.
yeah. Do some of these um how do I call them? Not figures. Like if you ought to be somebody else, like in acting, if you gotta be a different person than who you are in
Mhm.
your normal life, do you ever see those
Mhm. Mhm.
finding way in your normal life, like your acting ways, finding ways in your normal life on a regular day? Like, oh, this is what I do when I'm acting, and it's starting to get in
Mhm.
my
The
personal.
rebel?
Yeah.
No, I have not had to sit with a character long enough for me to not be able to decide who I am.
Okay.
Thank God. But I have heard of scenarios where actors have needed to take like a proper sabbatical after a very intense role. But also, I've not had it here per se. I've had it more for like Hollywood, like the guy who acted the Joker. Those roles that require a lot from you mentally. You have to lose so much weight. You have to gain so much weight. You have to,
Hmm.
those are the ones that I think have a chance to confuse you a little bit because I know that, and I don't know if this is a fact, but I've heard it takes about 6 months to build like a character, and it
Yeah.
becomes like discipline, and it becomes who you are. So if you sit in someone else for 6 months, chances are you'll be like, where am I?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I've seen those like people who have to lose weight to be a different person, and then you have to gain weight. You have to
Yeah.
do all these things like to just be in this character, and that could be hard. All right, I'm gonna make this wrap up here mostly because we've talked for a long time, and I don't want to keep you here for a long time. Have you ever been like starstruck, like finding like a celebrity and this person you've never thought of like meeting in your life, and you finally find them?
I met Helen for the first time. It was Beneath the Lies movie premiere. And I really intended to keep my cool
and have some decorum. Instead, when I opened my mouth, I just shouted at her. I meant to be like, hi, I really I'm a big fan of your work, but when she came close, I opened my mouth and I was like, Helen! And she was like, I was like, hi, I'm so sorry. Then I walked away. But then I met her on the Mpeke set, and now we're best of friends. So,
Yeah,
yay.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's one of the questions like one of the listeners asked me. So I wanted to ask you that. So the other person was like, why is she so beautiful? Like I was like, I don't know. I'll ask. So here's a question
Oh my
for
God. Gee, thanks. It all started when my mom met my dad, and now here I am.
Okay, that's a simple answer for the person who asked that. So now that this is the final question on this,
Yeah.
and then I'll do a few wrapping questions. Now that you've been in the media, what is the weirdest news you've ever
Yeah.
heard about yourself? You know, when
Yeah.
you step out in the public, different radio stations, different TV stations, different
The weirdest?
bloggers, yeah, like the weirdest news you've heard about yourself. I'm like, what? Like a news, like somebody reports something about you.
Oh my God. I haven't had any actually, because, and I don't know if it's just the way I decided to do the way I do my things. I'm in the public eye, but I'm also very low key.
Yeah.
So I haven't really had a situation where I hear anything about me that is like outrageous. No, I haven't. And to be honest, I'm very terrified of those scandals.
Yeah.
I'm so scared of them. So at present, I'm just with vibes. Yeah, like people who just know how many sings and she cooks and she acts or she works on radio, but nothing scandalous.
That's good.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. Probably stays that way.
Yeah.
I hate being like going viral for things that are not even like some weird things that are not even true, you know?
Yeah.
Like I hate things like that happen. Like
Yeah.
so yeah, these are my final questions. What has been a life lesson like you've learned in life to this point?
To this point, to let go and have total surrender. I feel like I've wanted to control so many things. I wish I did not have this part of me that is so traumatized. But on the basis of, say, trauma that has been from family and friendships and relationships, I felt that I needed to have things in my control just so, because I'm so tired of like things just happening to me and I don't know what to do. So I tried to control so many things, which in the end, I ended up with no control, but more trauma. So the best way to do this life thing is to have total surrender and understand that nothing is within your control. You just are equipped to deal with whatever life is thrown at you, and you just have to trust that you are. And it's hard to not have control because, like, say, for instance, this year I'm going to be turning 30, and I'm just like, okay, you're going to be 30. What can you really lay down and say, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, you know? So I guess up until this point, and I really fought with the letting go, the universe is like, let go. And I'm like, no, not yet. I want to hold on a little bit longer. Wait. And it's like, okay. So up until this point, if it's time to let go, release it, whatever it is.
That is true. And it comes with a lot of peace when you let it go. So it gives you peace and then opens doors for other things like happiness and joy and freedom. So it's always good to let go. What is something that gets you excited about life?
Love.
Okay.
Yeah, I think love is a very beautiful thing, and people loving each other and in the most authentic, genuine way. I don't even know what. So many parts of myself have been beaten and battered because I kept putting my best foot forward. But if there's one thing about it, love, we're still going strong. Still have a lot of love.
Nice. Yeah, I like those like love, kindness, peace, happiness, joy. on
Yeah.
everything. Like that's how I want, and I think everybody wants to live their life. Who doesn't want happiness? Who doesn't want love? Who doesn't want joy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that gets me excited like about life too. The other final
Yeah.
question is, who would you like to see on my podcast next? And you're gonna help me find that person to host on the podcast.
Okay, okay, okay. So it's an all round, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Who would I want you to have on your podcast? I would like you to have God. This is the equivalent of being shown a menu and asked what I want to eat. Like we'll be here for time.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I want you to talk to a creative. I want you to speak to Nicole Magabo,
Okay.
my director for that third movie. I would like for you guys to have a conversation in regards to the film industry, because she's opening something that is like a media hub, and she's trying to support writers, creatives here in different capacities. She actually has a fellowship running. I don't know if it's still running, but she's so open. She likes working with Ugandans and sharing her ideas and her talents. She's the sweetest person. I think you should speak with Nicole, yeah. And yes, I can help you get information.
That would be awesome. And I think I've had a few people ask me about like do something about like interview somebody about film industry in Uganda, like specifically Uganda. That would be cool to have. That would be a cool conversation to have because I'm yet to do one like that. So yeah, that would be amazing if you can connect me to her and then I can get her on the podcast. So yeah, once again, thank you very much for getting this time to be on my podcast. I know it's been a long time to getting you on here, but finally we got it. Too bad with the internet, but I'll make sure I do some magic here in editing to see that I get the good words, and I'm sure somebody will benefit from what you've said today. And those
I can't wait for the final.
Say something to the girls that want to join the acting industry or the girls that look up to you.
The media. Oh my God, people look up to me.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure, people.
You're famous.
Apparently. Well, my girlies, I would say whatever it is you want to do, shake off the fear and go for it. But when it comes to media in particular, keep your expectations very manageable, because people are looking for raw, hungry talent. And when you don't have a lot of information, you can easily be taken advantage of. So you must don't come off desperate, you know. Every opportunity is good, every role is good, big or small, it's a learning curve. But just be there to network and have the best time, and do not let anybody take advantage of you.
That is good. And that's a mic drop. So thank you very much for giving me this time. I think we've been recording for like an hour and a half minutes. Disturbing of the internet and stuff. But thank you very much and keep in touch. Oh, wait. I'm gonna take a picture to post on my Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Wait, was I recommended? Or did you look for me?
Yeah.
Was I recommended to be on a podcast? Did you look for me?
Ellen, is it Ellen Nasali?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's had me on her Twitter space, I think. Yeah,
the Twitter space. Yeah, because I hosted her here. I like what she does. She was doing a good job like hosting that. So I hosted her on the podcast too. And then like that question I ask, it's how my podcast keeps going. Like somebody recommends somebody, and then another person recommends another person. So it's pretty good. So I like it.
Yeah, that's good. That's lovely.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Keep in touch and let me know when you talk to the person, and I will write a formal invitation to them.
Definitely.
speak to them.
Definitely. Will you share that picture with me that you just took?
Yeah, I will share with you. The one I just took. Okay, yeah, I will. Okay, so I'll let you go and keep in touch. All right, bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Hey there, this is Harmony Kyomugisha, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with a friend and recommend somebody to this podcast. Don't forget to leave a feedback on this podcast because that's how we grow. And also don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. Join us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So we would love to hear from you. Thank you very much and be blessed.